Hi, so if you follow my YouTube channel, there's a decent chance you do it because I occasionally talk about level design tools. Usually I'm bitching and moaning about how they aren't very good. I've been doing that pretty consistently for like over 10 years. I'm the original bitcher and moaner about level design tools in Unreal. And I'm getting kind of tired of it, but just in time, there is a plugin called Scythe that has come out today on Patreon. So go pledge some amount a month and you can get access to this thing for Unreal Engine 5.5 and later. And it's just a good level design tool. I've been using it for a while, testing it in secret. And it's I think this is the beginning of level design being able to come back and be a thing that you can meaningfully do again. So short of hyping it up, I thought I would also just come in and show you some things. I'm not as good at using this tool as you might think. I haven't actually had that much time to do it, so even though I've had access to it. But look, I can click and drag out a block. That created a block. And if I hold Control and click and drag again, I can drag out a wall. That is also a block. And I can hold Shift to pull out of... I forget what Shift does, honestly. But whatever. This is good. I'm not very good at this because I'm out of practice, but you can do a bunch of really cool shit. And so something neat about this is it uses the concept of polygroups, which exists in Unreal's modeling tools and probably other things. I don't know. And that is just that you will probably want to group a bunch of triangles into a group so that you can treat them as one thing, which is sort of when we select a quad in something, we're pretending that this isn't two triangles, right? And that's what we want to do as level designers. We are not interested in the fact that everything is secretly triangles. We want to deal with quads. And so that's what these polygroups are. But it's not just that. So for instance, if I were to select this edge and bevel it, which let's make that bigger and add more subdivisions, which is already something that you can't easily do normally in level design tools now, right? If I accept that, that whole beveled part is a polygroup, right? So of course, it's technically a bunch of triangles, but I'm interested in polygroups. So I could even just extrude that beveled part out, and you can immediately see probably how useful junk like this can be for level design. So I'm gonna just like, don't expect me to make anything good here, but I'm just gonna make something that maybe is some form of structure here, by doing stuff that I could never do in most other tools. Mesh tool is okay, but this is better. Of course, it's very work in progress. There's a lot of things that are not there yet. But here's something I wanted to show you. Say I want to drive a hole through this. I'm a level designer, and that means that my personality is about knocking holes in things. So a lot of the time in lots of things you would like, and you could do this here, you could cut a hole in here by, drawing a bunch of lines, and then let me grab this and cut some more holes. You know where I'm going with this. I'll have a hole and then I could extrude back into it. And then if I go ahead and do that, I'm doing a very messy job of it on purpose. Say I extrude this back into the thing. We've all been here, right? Now it's like, okay, now I've got kind of a tube here, and I'm going to have to like get rid of all these interior faces and fucking make a hole and make the verts match or whatever. That's the sort of thing I end up doing in Mesh Tool anyway. I don't want to do any of that shit. So instead of that, I have this tool called Push Pull. And what that lets me do is, it's basically, let me inset this first because I want a nice smaller bit, whatever. If I use Push Pull on this, I'm going to extrude it back into itself and while also doing a Boolean. So now I just have a fucking hole and the geo isn't bad. It's fine. It's completely fine. Of course, I deliberately didn't do this in a nice, clean way. But, what if I take that now and bevel that, but not as much? This is like, that's a thing. That's a thing. So this is, it really is getting towards being as good as Hammer was 10,000 years ago, when dinosaurs walked the earth. I should have said a bigger number. Dinosaurs were not around 10,000 years ago. Anyway, so that's, I'm not going to go deep into it, but that's the sort of, there are a lot of great geometry tools in this thing. But the other missing element that you're probably thinking about if you're wondering if this is a return to the glory days is UVing. So this is not, you know, complete, but you can absolutely do it. Let's see. I'm going to select these faces and check it out. You just click and drag, like paint your selection in. It's great. So I'm going to select these 3 faces. I'm going to apply this material. And I can use this drop down to set how many pixels of this texture are supposed to represent how many centimeters. So I don't know, what res is this? It's probably 128. I'm going to go 128. I'm going to apply. And then I'm going to go to align to grid. I chose the wrong amount, but you know, it's fine. And in fact, it's better for me to demonstrate this if I have a wrong amount. I can do a bunch of hammery sort of stuff. I can shift it up by some amount. I can scale it up and down. And that's cool, but more importantly, I can justify and I can fit, and I can just go align to grid, keep ratio. So I'm saying whatever I do with fit, it's going to, you know, keep the ratio, and I'm going to say fit the height. And now this is not stretched, even though these faces are all different sizes. Even Hammer didn't, like, you could do this in Hammer, but it was like 4 operations. It was like, okay, fit, and then let me remember what the X value was, and then paste that back in from before I fit it, you know? So yeah, something that is going to exist, and it doesn't yet, but it does do something, is if you alt right click on another face, you do copy over what material was assigned, but it's supposed to copy the UVs over, and he's just not finished doing that yet. So yeah, and also, cool thing to know, a lot of this stuff has keyboard shortcuts. So if you want to justify left and right, that's Alt Num 4, Alt Num 6, Alt Num 8. You can rotate everything, you know. It's all there. This is also going to have hotspotting. If you don't know what hotspotting is, look at my YouTube channel. I go on about it at some length. And yeah, so I'm not going to take up all your time with this video, but you know, you can kind of see where I'm going. This is the beginning of the era of you can do maps again. And yeah, I really want to assign a material to this floor. Yeah, that's too small. All right, align. Yeah, sweet. So I think you should give some money to this guy Krunark, who makes this tool, and I think you should give it to him every month. And I think you should look at his tutorial videos about it. And yeah, this tool rules, and go make some video games. It's going to be great. Later.